thank you so much, all of you, for coming. I appreciate it. It's like, okay, I'm going to pinch myself. Maybe I'm really having a dream, right? Really, the easy part's developing the program. The hard part is what you're all doing, and that is delivering it and bringing it to the families and the teachers. And just as, how many of you are accredited group leaders here? Oh my gosh. I hope we can get a picture of all of you. So, I mean, you're the ones that make it happen because you're bringing it to the families, and I'm just so indebted to you all. So, thank you very much. So, I was asked to do a little bit of a, well, I should also thank all the people that have funded this too. So I probably don't have all of the various groups. I know Ministry of Education, Department of Health, and there have been a lot of different funding sources for enabling you to do this program. I was asked to do an overview of the program, and it's a lot to do because there's a lot of programs. So I selected a couple to tell you about. And if I see you looking sleepy, then maybe I'll do something different. It's not my style to lecture. I like to have it be interactive and collaborative and lots of questions. And I think I was told 45 minutes, and then we can have the questions at the end. So it's a little bit different. As you know, the Incredible Year is a very collaborative process, and it's kind of an interaction throughout. But I will give you a bit of an overview of the programs that have been developed and a summary of the research, not all the details of the research. Is that all right? Yes. All right. I know you probably know all of this, so that's part of it. So what is an evidence-based program? Do we know what that is? Can anybody call themselves an evidence-based program? So we do know that it means there have to be 2 randomized control trials, usually done by the developer. There has to be at least 1 randomized control trial by an independent researcher. And outcomes have to show change in what we know from the research are risk factors. And the studies that are used to evaluate them need to be reports from parents and teachers, as well as independent observations of the families or the teachers in their classrooms or in the home. And there should be at least 1 year follow-up to see what the sustainability of the results are. So that's a really, what we think about as truly evidence-based programs, although lots of programs are called evidence-based just because they did a consumer satisfaction form. So a little bit about Incredible Years is an evidence-based program. I did a brief summary. Basically, I did my very first study in 1979, and so I've been doing randomized control trials ever since then. Not because I intended to be a researcher, by the way. It was because I landed myself in the US as a Canadian, and I didn't want to charge people for services, and I had a lot of problems with the healthcare system there as a nurse practitioner, and then as a psychologist. I figured out one way in which I could offer free services to families was to write grants and get money. Little did I know that this many years later I would be doing this. It was either that or leave my husband and move back to Canada, right? So we make it work, whatever it takes to make it work. I have done I've done 9 randomized controlled trials, treatment trials with the parent program, and 4 trials with the prevention program. So there's both a prevention model of delivery and a treatment model of delivery. And there have been at least 14 independent randomized trials from 5 countries. Maybe some I don't even know about, but the ones that I know about I've listed here: England, Holland, Norway, Portugal, and Wales. For the child program, there have been 3 randomized trials, treatment trials, and 2 prevention, and 3 independent trials from other countries. And for the teacher programs, there's been 3 randomized trials by myself, and 7 independent randomized trials from 4 countries. We have seen the program to be effective across different cultures We have the program going now. I've been working with Spain, Portugal, Estonia, Slovenia, Russia, so a variety of different, we're also in West Bank. We're working with the Arabic families now, and I've translated the program into Arabic. So we have research conducted on both treatment and indicated prevention populations. Okay, there's the research part. Really is a bulk of a lot of my work. It seems kind of simplistic, but the short-term goals are to promote the positive parent-teacher-child relationships, to reduce discipline, harsh discipline at home and school, increase parent and teacher support, improve the homeschool communication, and of course, ultimately, the belief is that as we change those interactions on the part of parents and teachers, results in more social competence on the part of the children and fewer behavior problems, more school readiness. The ultimate goal is to prevent the development of conduct disorders, school dropout, delinquency, and substance abuse. So we do have, by the way, we've done a follow-up, but we always had randomized control, waitlist control families, but there is a lovely 10-year follow-up that was done in England where they evaluated the program against usual services 10 years later to see how those kids are doing. Dr. Stephen Scott did that study, and you can always look at it in our library, on our website, and see some nice results there, including positive academic outcomes compared to the usual service control condition. So you should be familiar with the pyramid, right? See, I don't know how much, it looks like a lot of you know everything. If I'd known you were all going to be certified group leaders, I'd do something completely different. So those of you are, how many of you are kind of new, not certified, so I get an idea? It's a little bit. So there are a few of you, okay, so I don't feel quite so bad that I'm preaching to. So it's the programs are developmentally based. They are culturally sensitive. They really address what the parents' goals are right from the get-go. First session, what do the parents want to learn or the teachers want to learn? And then we're teaching them principles to achieve the goals that they have set for themselves. It's based very much on the collaborative model of working together. Pretty much I call it a coping model rather than a mastery model. It's not like some programs you have to say praise X number of times in 10 minutes before you're allowed to go to the next unit. You know, I feel that we're always learning, we're always trying to cope, we're always figuring out new ways to deal with the latest behavior problems that we're dealing with. It's based heavily on videotape modeling. I'd love to tell you more about that because really that's what got me into it. I got completely hooked on video as a therapeutic tool in the 70s, and everybody at the time said, oh, who's going to have videos? You're kind of crazy. What is this all about? You know, my videos had 2-inch masters, and you know, they were little. It just looked like I was kind of strange, actually. And they didn't think that people could learn from watching videos of other people. So they thought perhaps it would be better if you saw your own videos, which of course the bug in the ear method, which I was trained in, was a very costly way of reaching families, where you'd videotape them and then show them their tapes and then coach them through a microphone in their ears. Lots of practice, so it's not about what I'm doing now, it's not about didactic lectures, it's about really getting as much of the ideas and building on the strengths of the parents and the teachers, and with the use of the video vignettes to trigger those discussions, and then from those discussions to find the key principles and then practice what it is we're learning to see how that works. So there's a lot of self-monitoring. Parents and teachers make their own decisions about what's realistic for them to work on that week, set some goals for themselves. So we have both short-term goals and long-term goals. Actually, it says that these are methods and processes for the parent program, but they are also for the teacher program as well. The methods are the same for that programs. And we do have different recommendations for protocols depending on whether it's a high-risk population or a treatment population, children with diagnoses versus prevention programs. So I'm giving you just kind of a little overview of when the programs were developed. So these were the first programs I developed, and you can see the years. And if they have a little asterisk next to them, that means they were updated or we added new stuff to them, new vignettes, updated revisions. So you can see that over the years, it started out as just one preschool program, and then I broke it down into a toddler program, a preschool, and a school age according to Piaget's developmental levels and what we know children are cognitively ready for and ready to learn. And the baby program is really, with high-risk families, my dream would be we get these families right away. They start with baby, they move to toddler, they move to preschool, and we support them all the way through. If we want to change sort of generational patterns, I think we really need to give them the ongoing support for each developmental stage of the children. Advanced program, the one that New Zealand's using is the preschool program. Maybe a few people here doing the advanced program. The advanced program deals with more of the interpersonal issues for the parents, anger management, depression management, how to problem solve, how to work with teachers, those sorts of things, communication skills. So it's more of the interpersonal skills. That is part of our treatment model. So all of those studies you see that we have done with kids with conduct problems have had both the basic and the advanced. So the baby program I won't talk too much about because I think you have some other baby programs here you're using. But just to tell you that we I'm not familiar with the other ones, but probably similar in terms of the promoting the attachment between the parent and child, strengthening the baby's language, cognitive, and physical development. We've just learned so much about brain development and how important it is. We cannot wait until they're preschoolers to help these families. There's such a difference in terms of what happens to brain development, language development. And in our country, many of our really higher risk, lower income families have kids that arrive at kindergarten very language delayed. They're already behind before they even start school. Assuring safety and promoting breastfeeding are some of the elements in the program. Really just gives you, there's 9 to 14 sessions in this program. It's for parents, as soon as their babies are born, we like to get them after the first month into groups and work with them at that time. Preschool program is one you've had here for a long time, and I won't review all of this since you mostly know that we're trying to improve parent-child interactions, relationships, help parents to be more responsive in a nurturing way with their children, to be less harsh in their discipline, and set up some predictable routines, and also to know just how to promote children's self-regulation, problem solving as well. We do work a lot with them on how to work with the teachers, daycare providers and the preschool teachers, so that they can be a team and be supportive of each other. Goals for child are, again, increasing their attachment with their parent for discovery and exploration, improving their emotional literacy. There's a big part of the program on emotional coaching, increasing their self-regulation skills, their social and friendship skills, helping them to be more compliant with teachers and parents, and decreasing their aggressive behavior. Outcomes have shown that we've been success, and this is across all of the studies. If you haven't seen it, there's a large meta-analysis done by Menting, M-E-N-T-I-N-G, in Holland, who reviewed over 50 studies that had been done with the Incredible Years Basic program, which surprised me there were 50, we were pretty consistent in terms of showing that we're able to bring about more positive parenting behavior, less harsh disciplinary responses, parents who feel more self-confident in what they're doing, children who have fewer behavior problems and more social competence. Oops. So we developed a series of supplementary. So what you need to know about this particular slide is that toddler, preschool, and school age and advanced have all had a fair number of randomized controlled trials done. They're pretty substantial research by our own team, but also by independent researchers. The ones on the second are more recent development of programs that have less research. So you've got some doctoral students who want to do some research. I've got some projects for them. But we have something now that I'm working on, the Well Baby Prevention Program. We're offering it during Well Baby visits. When the parents come in to have their immunization, they get the incredible coach who comes and supports them. They have a little video that they show and talk to them about various things. So we're trying to do it in 20 minutes in a Well Baby visit. And we have a study in now that we're waiting to see if we're going to get funded to evaluate that program. School readiness program has been used for largely in Europe, not so much in the US. They use it to recruit families into their groups. So they do it in the schools. It's a short program. And they do it as a way to tell parents how the programs work and to get them to come out. The attentive parenting one is the one I like better than the school readiness, but it's 2 sessions longer. I got seduced into doing that one for Norway, who felt that every single parent should have a parenting program. And so really, if you look at that one, it's kind of the bottom half of the pyramid. It's all about social, emotional, and academic coaching. And then there's a whole section on teaching self-regulation skills and a section on how to teach children to problem solve. So any of you who are looking for booster programs for your families who've had the basic, who want something more, I would send them to the attentive parenting, because by then they have enough skills and they've managed enough things in the home that they're ready for that, which is a little more complex. So they're ready with really teaching their kids to problem solve. Even if you didn't show the entire thing, if you were doing a couple booster sessions, I'd pick the self-regulation piece and the problem solving. And it helps the parents to know how to use puppets to generate problems and then practice with the puppet solutions. It's so much fun to do this one, and the parents really love it. The one where we've spent before today, the last 3 days on is the one with the arrow, and that's the parenting program for the children on the autism spectrum. And that was Monday through Wednesday that we did that with this amazing, amazing group of people, all of whom are certified as, maybe put your hands up. Yeah, a few here. Yeah, certified group leaders who have had experience working with children on the spectrum. So we've got just a really highly qualified group of people to roll that program out. And that one currently has one RCT going on in Wales, and another one going on in the United States, and a third one I'm working on with someone else. So I'm hoping in a few years' time we can come back with research. I'm kind of hoping we might get one in New Zealand, actually. I know you're not set up to do that, but I'll just put my plug out there. I think it's really important. It's not that hard to do, really, you know? Okay, so what is the autism program? We're trying to, this diagram I just put, what are the signals of children with or on the autism spectrum? These are the children you probably can identify and know pretty well. I'm working on some kind of a mnemonic to represent what the signals are, because we are, and I don't know if that's true here, but we are diagnosing these children, you know, as young as 14 months, younger children now, we can see. They have impaired social interaction and verbal communication. They're delayed development in terms of their pretend play and their imaginary play. They don't do the gesturing, so they aren't doing the pointing. They aren't waving at you. They have a narrow range of interests and routines. They're very repetitive usually. They can be withdrawn. Their affect is oftentimes, I think, a fairly significant number of the children are quite anxious. They don't smile that much, and you might not get eye contact very often. Their sensory responses are unusual. And you know, we always say if you've seen one child on the spectrum, you've only seen one. They're all so incredibly different. And you know, that in some ways, that's what I love about these kids, is they are just so unique, and they can be like, you can have a 6-year-old, you know, who's, what was somebody today talking about? They was like, I said, this is our budding biologist, because he was like, knew everything there was to know about, what was it, birds and hawks, and all the details of that hawk's life. But, you know, so he had this area of intense understanding, and then other areas entirely different. So these are unique children, and that once what we do hope is that we help the families fall in love with their children again if they've lost some of the love, or they've gone through a phase of being disappointed because this wasn't the child they thought it was going to be. To just see their specialness. This is part of what I think happens when the parents come together in a group and see other parents, you know, who've got children not the same at all, but their own quirkiness, and learn to support each other and help each other to help their children develop as well as they can. So the topics for this program are really, we do a lot with play, and how we use play to develop a positive relationship with the child. And through that, you know, we're always adapting. Is this a child with no language at all? So how do we communicate non-verbally? And how do we use other visuals to help that happening? We do social and emotional coaching. So we do some things that are quite similar to basic, but I think we dig a lot deeper to break that down into very, very small steps to get where we want. So we might be just working on pointing at something to indicate they want it, and that would be a success. Gradually maybe building up some syllables to get to the idea of eventually having a word, and pairing up the word with a picture, so they have other ways of communicating to us their needs. We talk a lot with these families and the teachers about getting into their spotlight with them. So we are going to be the most fun toy they have ever played with. So we're kind of over the top, you know, because of course these children often like objects much more than they like people, adults or children. And we are going to be really a fascinating person for them, so they can not be so, you know, interested in the toy, but more interested in us because of the unpredictable and fun things that we'll do with them. We do work on pretend play. It's delayed, and we have lots of ways that we can foster that in terms of helping them get into their imaginary world, which they love. You know, the very first time I decided I had to do this is I had a boy who was in my treatment for conduct disorders, and he was really overwhelmed by the other boys. There's 6 in a group that were aggressive, and he couldn't handle the stimulation. And so I took him out to work with him at first individually with one of my puppets. And I saw this very different boy. When the night was over and he was to go home, he wanted to put the puppet to bed. He wanted to kiss them goodbye. He was concerned about who was going to feed them. He was all this empathy, all these things that nobody thought was there with this puppet. Maybe like the boy who loved the hawks. So it was there, and I just was so convinced that puppets was a way to go. That there was a lot of social skills that we could teach through puppets, and how we could work with the emotional development of these children. These children often do have behavior problems. They're anxious, they're not received well by peers and by other adults often, and we help them learn some self-regulation skills, as well as the parents learning how to stay calm and patient with the slow progress that the children can make. And so we do teach them how to do behavior management. We do not use time out with these children, so that's different. What we do a lot with what we ignore, what differential attention we give, and how we can redirect them for more productive behavior. Program is offered, says 12 to 16, and I will tell you that the study that's going on in Wales is, now we're in our 3rd year, has convinced me it cannot be done in 12 sessions. So it would be somewhere, actually they say they have to have 16 to complete it in their study. Their 16th is kind of a celebration, so it's not as much content, but still a very important part of the program. The program can be used, you can use the supplemental vignettes with the basic program. If you don't have enough families to put together a program just for kids on the spectrum, parents of kids on the spectrum, you can, because they're good in small communities, so maybe you only got 1 or 2 kids, and you can put them in a regular basic parenting program, which will be very supportive for those parents, and substitute a few of the vignettes as you go along in there, so you can show some kids that look like their kids. And that's worked well, and I know that in our clinic at the university, I've probably had 15% of the kids were on the spectrum, but they weren't diagnosed back then, because these kids look very familiar to me. Oftentimes they are comorbid for other things. They have ADHD perhaps, or they've been given that diagnosis, they've been given obsessive compulsive disorder, they've been given the diagnosis of language and developmental delay, they've had all sorts of things. So we think that, you know, if you've got a small community, you could use some of these and bring it into your regular basic program. So I was going to show you a vignette just where you could see one of the fathers in the vignette, and we'll see if my video works. So you're going to just think about what this father does to promote some feelings literacy, and this is one of the fathers in my tapes.
In the next vignette, watch all the ways this father models and prompts his son's expression and understanding of emotions. Think about the emotion words you use with your children.
Oh, you look excited. Has any feeling excited? Say, I'm excited. You having fun? I'm having fun. I like to blow bubbles. I like to blow bubbles. I like to blow bubbles with you, Hudson. Okay, so I need to blow a big one?
I blow a big one.
Mm-hmm. Are you feeling nervous at all? Are you feeling excited?
I'm feeling excited.
All right. You happy? You look happy. I see a happy smile. Okay. Let me try again. There it goes up in there. Oh, it's gonna fall on your head. Boop. Oh, there's a little one. Right by your foot. I'm feeling pretty happy right now. And I'm proud of you for using your words and looking at me with your eyes to ask for bubbles. What do you think? Should we do it again?
So we do it again?
How should I do it this time?
Blow a bunch of bubbles.
Blow a bunch of bubbles. Okay. You flapping your arms because you're excited? You say, I flap my arms when I'm excited.
I flap my arms when I'm excited.
Yeah. If anyone ever asks you that, you can just tell them. Gonna blow it? All right, tell me when to go.
Wait, set, go.
Pop the bubbles, turtle. Oh, he's very gentle.
So, great dad, huh? So the story behind this is that they were in my attentive parenting program, which I offered at a school who could only do X number of sessions. They chose the attentive parenting program. I said, that's the wrong program for these kids, because this school was just for kids on the spectrum. And they said, yeah, well, that's one we're going to do. So I decided to do it. And at the end of the program, I was remarking on the fact that the parents really had made a lot of changes that really had sort of exceeded my expectation. We had a lot of fun together, and I was doing an evaluation at the end, and they said, yeah, but the problem was we didn't see any kids on the tapes that looked like our kids. And so I said, well, I can do something about that. Who wants to volunteer? And so he volunteered. I had no idea how phenomenal he would be when I went into the home to tape. And the other child that you're going to see, Amelia, a little girl, who's same age but very different language and very different kid. They also volunteered to be in the video so that other parents would have the opportunity of seeing children that looked a little bit different. Attentive parenting program, the kids were typical kids, but not on the spectrum. A little bit, this is 10 minutes, so I can't show all of this to you, so I'm only going to just show you a little bit of the parent responses, and this will be the parent that we just saw. Whoops.
You want some banana too, Hudson? What do you think? Yes, banana or no banana? Hudson, can you look
Yes,
Can you look at me, please? Can I see your eyes?
Yes, banana.
Yes, banana? Okay. We first had some suspicions that Hudson might be on the autism spectrum. When he was a really young infant, he was waving his arms a lot for all kinds of reasons. And there were also members in my family who had similar characteristics.
Up and down, and round and round. We first thought Amelia might be on the autism spectrum right before she turned 2. She started doing some repetitive behaviors, kind of flicking her hands together, running back and forth. My hopes in the Incredible Years program was to really, I wasn't sure if it was going to help me with Amelia. I hoped it would, but I wasn't sure how to apply it to a child with autism. Our first couple classes, that just kept going through my head. How do I apply this to a child on the spectrum? How do I apply this? Which later on it was a no-brainer. I could, but I didn't know that at the beginning.
Whenever you're using the ignore, there's a whole lot of positive for the other behavior that you want instead.
It was very interesting to be in a group with other parents, to see that some parents practiced a lot of the techniques and had good success.
Learning parenting skills with other parents in the same situation was huge.
It's useful to be able to role play with other parents too.
Mommy, she won't let me have it.
Well, it sounds like you're really doing a good ignore over there.
Well, I'm trying to.
Being able to practice with another adult who's going to give me feedback, and then there's instructors to give me feedback, and also kind of help me through it a little bit before I actually go and try it with my children has been priceless.
I know you don't like me, Mommy. You don't like me. If you liked me, you'd tell me you liked me.
I think the Incredible Years class definitely brought a lot more details into it.
Good work. That was great. That was great. Now, it's a lot easier to ignore me, right, than your cute little daughter.
The videos were very good.
More water.
More water, please.
More water, me.
Okay. Watching a parent describe or do academic coaching or just describing play to expand someone's play, I mean, that was great.
You've got the one with circles.
Be able to see that and then try to mimic it myself in my own play with another adult and then come home and try it.
Can I play with you? Yeah. But I'm gonna have a one. But I'm gonna have a down, and you're gonna do like that because I'm gonna do the hammer.
Okay.
Okay, you taking a break or do you want to go for a spin?
I'm gonna for a spin.
Over a spin. Being child-directed something I did frequently, but I didn't necessarily take advantage of it as a teaching situation because I wasn't thinking of it that way.
I was very concerned at first, how am I going to be child-led when I know I have to direct her in doing A, B, C, and D because she can't? How am I going to put those two things together? I'm thinking it's red and yellow. I'm thinking I'm going to put it in green. Oh, you switched it to go in red because it matches with the red?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so smart.
You get 2 hexagons. 2 hexagons, now they're stacked up. Introducing descriptive commenting for Hudson. He'll tend to listen and repeat what I say, so I feel like it's a very useful way. It's really helped to increase his vocabulary. Before I started the class, I don't think I was doing it that much. Door isn't the best thing. Open and shut. Open and shut.
It's my turn. My turn. My turn. I really wanted to try to improve her social interactions. You want a turn? So what can you ask? How can you ask like a big girl? Do you remember? May I have a turn, please?
Give it right now.
So I thought that the social coaching would hopefully help. May I have a turn, please?
May I have a turn?
That was such nice asking.
I want to.
You say, I want to blow some bubbles, please?
I want to blow some bubbles.
You want to take a turn? Okay, you can have a turn. In regard to social coaching, there's been some mixed results. In the situation with other kids, like he's usually already upset before it comes up. Oh, do you want the balloon?
Do you want the balloon?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you look at me with your eyes? When I've done practice with him, he seemed engaged and interested in it.
Oh, the balloon, please.
All right. What a nice look. Thank you.
My feet hurt.
Let me see. Did you bang it on something? The emotion coach.
Sorry, I'd like you to see all of it, but get you an idea of what they've learned from the different parts of the program. You know, the Hudson's father said I could come back and videotape him now and bring over here. He said, because you've got to see him now. He's talking away, and I'd love to be able to show you what he looks like now. Okay, so as you know, I'm a big proponent of parenting as being the single most effective strategy, I think, for preventing problems and promoting children's social and emotional development. So, however, Felicity Feelings is here. Oh, man, she's been waiting so long. She's probably pretty upset. Yeah? Hi. I wanted to come today because I had something to tell you. Did you know that? No, I don't have autism, but I have other problems. Well, the thing is that my parents got better, but I still was having so many problems at school. And I didn't think my teacher liked me very much. What do you think, Cheryl?
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I like to run around a lot, and that caused the teacher kind of be a little upset with me.
Yeah, happens.
Yeah. So is there something we can do about that?
You should think of it.
We should. I sure would like it if my teacher liked me a little bit better. And the other kids, they don't like me either. I never get invited to birthday parties. Okay, I think New Zealand has a plan. Right? Yeah. Okay, I look forward to seeing you again and finding out what you do about that. So the next part of this is, you know, children can spend more time in classrooms or daycare centers than they do with their parents. So they're, you know, that sort of situation of being able to impact what happens there as well. And, you know, teachers feel a lot like parents. They feel like they don't know how to manage the kids. They don't feel that they get much support. They feel frustrated. They lack confidence in managing these children. So I developed the teacher classroom management, which I think that New Zealand is probably doing the best job of all the different countries that I work with. And I'm going to show you, I'm hoping to get there to the pie chart so I can show you how many people you've actually trained and delivered, but it's amazing. Which is why I'm so pleased about the fact that you're going to take on the autism teacher piece, because teachers who've had teacher classroom management are just ready for it. They're going to be like ducks on a pond. They're just going to do such a great job because they've got the methods and processes down in terms of classroom management. There is a program, and I'd hoped to show you tonight, but I may not have time. I brought some vignettes called Incredible Beginnings, and it's my newest program. And really, it is the program that teachers should use if they're working with children ages 1 to 5. It is the best one. It deals more with children's attachment problems or separation problems. It deals much more with developmental differences and language delays. It's totally, there's 2 parts to it. I think I can show you that. The teacher classroom management, you know about that program. You know that it's 6 full days, workshops. I'm not going to do that. Outcomes are looking pretty good with that program too, in terms of improving positive behavior management and decreasing classroom aggression. There's a new study, if you haven't seen it, come out by Keith Herman and Wendy Ranke from the University of Missouri, where they've seen some academic differences compared to their control group. And this was done in primary grade, so it was 1st and 2nd grade schools, very more disadvantaged families. We've seen increases in parent involvement in their children's education, and some studies in terms of some academic success. Works better when it's combined with the parent program, especially if you've got kids with diagnosis, where you've got both parents and teachers on board. The Incredible Beginnings does not have any randomized controlled trials at this point, so we're working on that. There is, I'll go quickly through this, a lot of similarity in some ways to teacher classroom management, so I really feel like it's a kind of extension of teacher classroom management in terms of many of the concepts that we're using, but you're showing how to do this with a toddler, how to do these things with different ages, with children with different developmental issues. There is both a protocol for toddlers and a protocol for preschoolers. And it's delivered exactly like teacher classroom management, once a month for 6 workshops with assignments between time and coaching. Same process as the teacher classroom management. You're not going to have teachers being, in this one, it is young kids, so we're not going to see classrooms and desks and things like that some of the teachers of the younger kids get upset about when they see those vignettes. I developed that one because, at least in our country, our daycare providers are very poorly prepared, and usually our highest risk kids are going to daycare centers that are the cheapest they can find with the least prepared people. So we have our highest risk kids being taken care of by least prepared providers. I don't know the situation here at all. I'm just talking about the United States, where we're not so good at providing services for families as you are. I've thought about moving here. I don't have time to show you, because I was going to show you one vignette on, but I won't have to leave it out, because I want to make sure that you know about the one for the teachers. So we're working hard here that the teacher version for children on the spectrum is to promote language development, social interactions, and emotional literacy and self-regulation. These are, when I developed this originally, I said 4 to 6, but it remains to be seen, since you will probably be the first country to roll this one out, which is why I'm hoping we'll get a really good evaluation here. Feedback seems to be that you're going to need at least 6 sessions to do that. And from my work today with the group, we were talking about how we could get through all the material that I presented today, how they were going to do that. They certainly weren't going to do it in one session. So when you think about sessions, you should think about topics. And some groups are going to take several more meetings in order to get through that topic. It's not meant to be, you're supposed to do it all in one session. You have to sort of look at your group, look at the size of your group, look at the needs of your group and the goals. And I suspect people are at some point going to say to me 6 wasn't enough. But I tend to have more, I tend to think I can do more than I can do, as I am exhibiting now. What I thought I could do in 45 minutes, I've taken longer. The best parents will, I see this as a partnership. So the idea when I developed it was that the parents who got the parent autism program would go on to do this program as their advanced program. Because what happens in the parent program is about the parent-child relationship and developing that. They're not learning about coaching multiple children or other kids on the spectrum with their child. This part does that. And so that they would learn about how to promote the interactions between 2 children. Mm-hmm. My idea was that they would do it with the teachers together. And so they could work on behavior problems together, and then those parents could even go in sometimes and work in the classroom and know what to do when they're in the classroom and how to do the peer coaching in the classroom. It is being rolled out here right now separately, so just to train the teachers first, which might be a good idea. Maybe once the teachers are trained, then they would feel more comfortable than bringing the parents in for it and working with them together there. So it can be offered both to teachers after they've had teacher classroom management program as an addition to that, and it can be offered to parents after they've done the basic autism program. And ideally, in my fantasy world, eventually the teachers and parents could do it together. So, you know, our goals are to support these teachers and all the things I've already been talking about, develop the support systems for the parents and the teachers to enhance their competence, to have, you know, cross-setting consistency in terms of their approaches with the children. I'm going to show you a little bit of the introductory, okay, just so you have an idea of what it looks like.
What do you think, Hudson? Juice or warm milk? What would you like?
Children with language delays and those on the autism spectrum are unique, with different sets of developmental delays, challenges, and special gifts. However, most of these children have trouble connecting, communicating, sharing feelings, and paying attention to people around them. For many, developing and understanding speech and responding to other people's speech or gestures is difficult, even though they may learn to repeat others' words.
That says, wait 1 minute.
Wait 1 minute.
Wait 1 minute.
Wait 1 minute.
Unlike most preschool children, children on the autism spectrum are less interested in playing with other children or may want to interact but don't know how. Tap them on the shoulder.
There you go. Nice. If you need to wait.
I'm waiting.
They have particular difficulty with turn-taking, sharing, imitating, gesturing, and even noticing what others are doing in play. They often prefer to play alone and are more focused on exploring objects than people. They can be engaged in solitary, repetitive play for long periods of time, thus are deprived of social learning opportunities with adults and other children. Like preschool children, children on the autism spectrum and with language difficulties also have difficulty regulating their emotional responses. They may exhibit challenging behaviors such as oppositionality, tantrums, or hitting when frustrated.
I wonder how might Tiny be feeling. Here, you take it.
In this program, we will discuss ways teachers and parents can work together to provide one-on-one coaching with the child as well as small group coaching with 2 to 3 children ages 3 to 5 years.
Oh, Hudson says, I want to drive.
I'm going to stop it there, but I wanted you to be able to see what the classrooms look like and what the teachers look like on that piece. I'm going to fast forward over these. There's a little bit being done with the dinosaur program here, but I don't think very much, as far as I know. Child outcomes. That's what I wanted to get to. So this is showing group leaders that have been trained by country. So you see here in New Zealand, you've trained 2,405 people, which is really great. I mean, what are you, a population of 4.5 million or something like that? It just gives you an idea of where you stand relative to some other countries that are much bigger. You can see United States, we've trained over 18,000, and England over 19,000. They're doing better than we are. Kind of cool, huh? You look really good. If I did it as a ratio to population, you'd look even better. This is the parents, so you can see how many are in the parent program. 15,000, over 15,000. So more in that one. This is the child program. So I guess you've trained 148 group leaders here in the child program. The United States is going bonkers with that program. It seems they like it. I have a feeling it has to do with the insurance system. We'll pay for that. And they don't want to pay for the parent program, but they'll pay for the child program. Look at that one. How about a yay, yay, yay? That is really amazing. Certified peer coaches. I don't usually show that. Don't tell anybody what we talked about here goes nowhere else. Trainers and mentors by country. So you have 8 here, 2 in process. So pretty good. This is New Zealand accreditations as of January in the different programs. So you can see the parent has 176 and the teacher has 124. We're trying to get all our mentors to try to get our numbers up on accreditation, because accreditation is so important in terms of assuring vitality of program delivery. And I'm going to have to stop, so I was going to talk about that, but here's what I want to talk about. In terms of assuring program vitality, it's just so important that all the program core components are delivered. The dosage is accurate. Over and over people think, I'll just do half the program. It is no longer an evidence-based program when that happens. And we have done studies where we've shown the number of sessions affects the effect sizes. In other words, the amount of change that we can get, as well as the sustainability of the results. So, it's so important. The quality of the group leaders, the methods and processes that they use is part of it, as well as parent responsiveness, and the program tailored to the population. So when I recommended a certain number of sessions, those were meant to be the minimum, not the maximum. And a lot of times that, I think, budgets influence that sort of thing, but that was what it was set up. Fidelity leads to effective outcomes similar to published results. We've shown that greater fidelity, better outcomes. There's always this idea that if you do some intervention, it's better than none. That's erroneous. You're better off to do intervention well with probably fewer. because we don't know because we give them a little bit less. If you think about your ampicillin for your ear infection, and the research says you should have 5 days of it, and then you suddenly decide you're only going to have 2 days of it, you think it's going to do the job? No. So based on the research, now I don't know about autism yet because we don't have the evidence on the number of sessions with basic and the other programs we do, but we don't have that information. I think the idea of developing a culture of program fidelity in your agency is just really important. That we recognize people that get accredited in the programs, that we set up a support system is so important. And you're doing a really great job there with the peer coaches that you're developing, because what happens to people when they learn a new program is they essentially become a little bit de-skilled immediately after they learn it. Everything is so different from what they're usually able to do. And if we can support them during that time so that they feel comfortable, they can come back again and surpass where they were when they started, start realizing they still need all those clinical skills that they had before. But they've been able to incorporate some aspects of the new way that they're delivering the program. So I think that's important. And I just want to tell you this, that maybe I took it out. We are there in Seattle to help you. So you have these wonderful mentors here, and they meet with us at least every 2 years, and sometimes many of them every year, to help you. But we are there supporting your mentors as well. And we review all workshop materials to try to make sure the workshops are delivered with fidelity. It's a lot to try to make sure that with this rollout, I'd rather roll out to fewer places and make sure that we're doing a good job in those places than than try to think we're just going to scatter everything everywhere. So I think that idea of we continue to try to take your feedback to improve and update our programs with your feedback. So I have been doing that with the programs over the years. People always think they can't call us, but you can. You can email us. We will answer your questions. We want to know, what ways we can support and help you. That's our job now. So thank you very much. A lot to try to do all in a short period of time. I hope it gave you, those of you who are new, I hope it gave you an overview of what we're trying to do. And I am just so excited. I hope I can come back sometime and hear about how you're rolling this program out and how the families and teachers are responding to it. I'm predicting really good outcomes. The people that I've met this week in doing the training are, as we say in America, awesome. I have absolute faith that they're going to do a good job with the rollout of the program. So thank you so much for coming.